Visually stunning graphics are the soul of video games. Sometimes, even if a game lacks story or gameplay, but if it has breathtaking graphics, then the overall experience will be immensely satisfying. So, in this video, I have mentioned the 10 high-graphic single-player games, along with some bonus games towards the end. You will be seeing over 15 games on this list. Without further ado, click that subscribe button and join my Discord for awesome gaming recommendations. Let's look at the first game on our list. Number 10, Last of Us 2.
Don't, please, don't. Please don't.
We are starting out this list with one of the fan-favorite game of recent years. The Last of Us series is known for its immersive visuals and gameplay mechanics, along with a touching storyline. The first part also deserves a mention, but we have talked about it in several other videos. One of the major differences between the two games besides the improved graphics is the storyline. In my opinion, the Last of Us remake story is touching while the second one is kind of sad and emotional. I know that a lot of you guys have different opinions on the story of part 2, but I love the bond between Ellie and Joel in the first part. Now, the reviews are pretty average as most of the players preferred the original over the sequel. The second part is sort of ruined in so many ways. The story is the first problem, as there could have been a better ending for Joel and Ellie. I don't know what the developers and writers were thinking. The first game will always be cherished. It's not just my opinion. I have noticed that the first part always comes on top whenever someone mentions The Last of Us. The series had such a great potential. There is in fact a TV show which shows how much impact the game had on the audience. Honestly, at this point I am not even sure if I want a new sequel, despite having greatly improved graphics and gameplay. Somehow the second installment is just not good enough. Don't get me wrong, I have completed both games, and I had a blast playing the sequel. However, I just noticed so many downsides that made me realize how much of a gem the original is. Anyways, I will recommend at least playing the game for a few hours, as it's a major step up from the original Last of Us graphics. Number 9, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Is what a scoundrel might say. But I wouldn't dream of distressing y'all further. Just so happens one of our birds ran off the other day. Wild thing, but still...
I have no idea why this game fell so hard compared to its predecessor. Final Fantasy VII is one of the most amazing installments from the series. Cloud and Tifa are my favorite characters along with Noctis. I still remember I was overjoyed when I realized that Final Fantasy VII is getting a remake. However, the first part was awesome, but the second just felt boring. I am sure some of you still liked playing Rebirth, but truthfully, it's just not that much fun compared to the OG Final Fantasy VII. The game has gotten so many great reviews and a 9 out of 10 score on IGN. Nevertheless, I enjoyed both parts, but the Rebirth just felt like a necessary sequel to continue the storyline. I am just hoping that if we get more remakes in the future, they should be at the level of Final Fantasy 15 and 16. Some of the major highlights of Rebirth are how the towns look, the side content, and tons of mini-games. The combat in Rebirth is unique and every character has vast move sets. Now, I still want you guys to play this game as it's the finest, and we are not getting any new Final Fantasy game next year. So, this will be a great time to play some of the OG games. I recommend starting your journey with either Final Fantasy VII Remake or 15. Both games are mind-blowing, especially the 15th installment as it showcases visually satisfying graphics and a vast open world. Anyways, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is available on PS5. Number 8, Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
There's more coming.
Now, I am such a huge fan of the Tomb Raider series. They are phenomenal linear games with tremendous gameplay mechanics and action combat, along with a compelling storyline. However, Shadow of the Tomb Raider is definitely the least favorite installment from the entire series. Don't get me wrong, in my opinion, the 2013 reboot will always be a masterpiece, and Rise of Tomb Raider is my favorite. Now, within all this, I just can't seem to find a place for Shadow. The game has amazing graphics and immersive textures, but somehow it just lacks in the storyline. The story wasn't that good enough. Though, the game had an amazing jungle environment and so many tombs to raid and puzzles to solve. The only thing missing was good story. The 2013 game had a great storyline, and same with Rise, but Shadow was pretty mid. The narrative of Shadow of Tomb Raider is mostly surface-based and barely holds a candle to its predecessors. It's one of those games that provides with all the missions and tells you what to do, but takes away all the feeling of discovery. I am not criticizing this game in any way, but just highlighting that it's not at the level of its predecessor. Though there are some positive points as well, I finished it really quick and found it hard to stop. I really enjoyed this game for focusing less on the combat. There was a little too much at the end of Rise in my opinion. For me, one of the most outstanding things in the game was the beautiful graphics, scenery, and especially the cutscenes. I absolutely love the scene where Lara exits the water and there is fire in the background and then goes on a killing spree, accepting her murderous side. Also the scene where she comes face to face with a leopard for the first time. The new edition of the camouflage was also something new and enjoyable. The exploration of tombs and the jungle was always fun. Another thing I enjoyed was being able to play as Lara when she was a child for a short period of time. We learned she was an explorer from the beginning, and sure, this game definitely has some downsides, like most games do, but all the amazing things make up for it. Shadow of the Tomb Raider is an exceptional game. Just to remind you that I have played all the major titles, and I can say that Shadow lacks in so many ways, but it's still worth a try.
I'll check in with Maltese.
Sure, gives me something to do.
Number 7. God of War Ragnarok. An end to the Norse mythology. Let's just hope that developers introduce something cool in the next sequel. Ragnarok is an amazing game, but for me it's similar to the 2018's version. The combat and mechanics felt almost the same, even though they had some minor changes and new content. However, we can all agree that in terms of story, God of War 2018 is the best game. 2018 felt more serious and had a different atmosphere. Ragnarok was too lighthearted and a very safe sequel for me. Both very good games, but I prefer the first one. This is also because we got a new God of War game after many years and fans were hyped to play as Kratos. So, this boosted sales and made the game an extremely intense experience. Ragnarok is something that we can say is a necessary sequel to finish the Norse storyline. It's just one another game for the fans of the series. I mean, even I will play a new God of War game no matter how many times the developers release a sequel. But it's when we talk about whether it's good or better than the original, that's when the problem arises. I highly agree that Ragnarok has better graphics and visuals, but there were so many moments that kind of made the overall experience dull, especially Atreus. I am one of those who was so fed up with Atreus in the first game towards the ending. The more the boy grew, the more rebellious he became. And I know that OG fans like me are not a fan of this. We just want to see Kratos smashing skulls and killing gods along with an intense storyline. Nevertheless, Ragnarok is a must-play game for everyone who is a fan of the series. However, you should always start with 2018's version. God of War Ragnarok is only available on PlayStation. Number 6. Alan Wake 2. I am one of those who played the remaster in 2023, and I can confirm that it's one of the best horror gaming series. I was so hooked and intrigued by the gameplay and storyline. There were so many awesome moments that made me question what the developers will do in the sequel, and as expected, they did a great job. Alan Wake 2 is a mind-blowing game and so much improved upon its original. The graphics and visuals are the best part as the game is available to play on PS5, and it was so satisfying to see the lightning and shadows complementing the world design. Sadly, for PC players it may not be the same. I know that some of us have faced issues regarding bugs or glitches while running the game on our PC. Honestly, you need a really high-end PC. Even if you meet the minimum requirements or play the game on medium settings, then you will surely face game-breaking moments or blurry textures. Despite all this, we can all agree that Remedy did an awesome job making the sequel immersive and full of thrill. Also, it felt amazing to revisit some of the old places from the first game. Now, here's something important that you should keep in mind before diving into Alan Wake series. You might get bored in the first few hours as it's a survival horror game tasked with solving mysteries. However, if you manage to be patient and spend at least a few hours into the first game, then from that point on it's smooth sailing. You will have no trouble completing the game and will definitely try out the sequel as well. Alan Wake 2 is available on PS5, PC, and Xbox Series. Number 5. Dragon's Dogma 2. This game is the largest RPG of 2024. Personally, I am a huge fan of the Dragon's Dogma series. I played it last year and realized how I had missed out on such a gem. There's no reason to have second thoughts. This game is ideal for every RPG lover. Dragon's Dogma 2 offers a more interesting story than its predecessor. Along with this, everything has been improved in the latest sequel. However, if you've played the original many years ago, you'll undoubtedly feel nostalgic, but you'll also notice that the content is very similar. It's basically a remastered game. Dragon's Dogma 2 really gives you the experience of being an explorer and forces you to explore every corner, as each location in the game contains side missions, hidden items, and various monsters. The finest feature about the Dragon's Dogma series is the free environment and the chance to select multiple classes. I wish the developers would release a DLC this year. Dragon's Dogma 2 will transport you to a vast open world, offering you an immersive experience lasting hundreds of hours. Honestly, when compared to other RPG games, Dragon's Dogma 2 allows players to customize everything from weaponry to cosmetics for themselves and their party members. I can safely assure you that you will never get bored with this game. The sole reason I am including this game in this video is simply because the sequel is a graphical remake and nothing else. Every feature is almost the same as the original, and even the monsters are the same. Capcom sort of just did a makeover so that new fans will be able to enjoy the best RPG open world. Number 4. Control. Now, we have yet another Remedy game. Control is an action-adventure game that truly felt immensely engaging. Low-key, it kind of reminds me of Medium as well. Before I talk about the exciting points about this game, I just want to say that we may be able to get a sequel in the next 2 years. Right now, Remedy is working on Max Payne. So, I believe after that there could be an announcement regarding a new sequel of Control, as it's almost 5 years since the game first came out. Though if I remember correctly, Remedy did announce they are working on Control 2 sometime in 2022. Now, as you can see from the gameplay, Control is kind of a sci-fi dark action game. So, you can assume seeing the general stuff such as rituals, dark creatures, and superpowers. The game got you covered in all these aspects. You can also say that in this game you are basically have given the option to wreak havoc. There's just a right amount of craziness filled with mystery and intrigue.
The hotline. Okay.
If we talk about the storyline then without spoiling anything, I just want to say that it's a really good one and will keep you engaged throughout your playthrough. In short, Control is not like those all-out action games which are solely focused on just exploring and killing your enemies. The game contains everything in a perfect reasonable amount. The progression system is my favorite, as among all the coolest powers, I can choose to upgrade whichever one I like the best. The mind control powers, along with a smooth and fluid gameplay, will provide an intense experience that you can never expect from basic sci-fi action games with an opportunity of total chaos. Besides the awesome graphics, Control is a game that never lets you feel bored. The combination of third-person shooting with a touch of superpowers keeps the gameplay engaging. Let's just hope that Remedy introduces something much cooler in the next sequel. Number 3. Hellblade: Senua's Saga. Now, I guess some of you may be wondering why there's so much hype. I'll tell you why. It's because you probably never played, or maybe not like the first one. I still remember when I played the original on my low-end laptop. Personally, at that time I didn't know much about these kinds of games, so the first Hellblade felt a bit slow, spooky action cutscenes focus game. Pretty much didn't know what I was doing. But hey, now the sequel is here. There's so much new stuff, and the overall story felt intriguing. The graphics and realism are on the next level. And good news is that it's on PC, so no need to play on a console. Just a short description. Hellblade series is mostly about spooky horror environments, rich storyline, cultist enemies, religious stuff, or rituals, and the graphics. You play as Senua and is tasked to explore the world in a linear manner by solving puzzles which could be turned off for some players.
The giant of Borgavarki is strong.
We are
But I believe in you.
Together.
I want the bloodshed to end.
I always say this, that Hellblade is without a doubt an amazing series, but it's something that you will only come to appreciate after spending a few hours in it. At first, the game starts to feel boring because basically you are just looking for different symbols to progress through the mission. However, trust me, it gets better as you move forward. There's also a lot of dark content in it, so if it's not your thing, then just don't dive into it. Honestly, we are getting a sequel after many years. In fact, I never would have expected that developers were going to make a sequel of Hellblade, so it caught me by surprise. Though the experience was genuinely satisfying. As someone who played the original, I can absolutely see the improvements and the sense of realism that the game provides. Graphics and visuals are noteworthy along with the sounds. Number 2. Stellar Blade. Let's be honest, the main reason some of you are drawn to Stellar Blade is its lead character. This game has become popular largely because of its protagonist, but while the storyline might not be groundbreaking, the gameplay more than makes up for it. Stellar Blade revitalizes the hack-and-slash genre with a character reminiscent of the Bayonetta series. It's a visually stunning action game with fantastic character and monster designs, and the combat is both thrilling and evolving throughout the 20-hour adventure. The game is set in a post-apocalyptic world where players are tasked with saving the Earth from monsters, drawing inspiration from games like Sekiro and Devil May Cry, with a touch of Bayonetta. Stellar Blade stands out as the best hack-and-slash release in recent years. The cutscenes are particularly impressive, showcasing the PS5's capabilities and delivering a visually stunning experience. The developers did a fantastic job with the main character's design, including a sleek bodysuit that looks great in cutscenes. While the game is currently pricey, it offers an excellent hack-and-slash experience with solid combat and a decent storyline. If you're considering it, you might want to wait for a price drop. Stellar Blade is available on PlayStation 5.
마더스 피어나 콜로니에게 너의 과잉 정보는 불필요해.
Before I reveal my number 1 pick, here are some honorable mentions. Red Dead 2.
This area is off limits, okay? You don't like visiting.
Final Fantasy 15.
Hey there, y'all kept a girl waiting. Now, which one's the prince? Aha! Hello, Your Highness. Congrats on your wedding.
Not his.
Forza Horizon 5. Gears 5. MotoGP 24. Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Number 1. Cyberpunk. Honestly, I wanted to mention so many other different games on number 1. However, I chose to go with Cyberpunk, otherwise some of you had commented that I forgot the greatest high graphics games of recent times. I played Cyberpunk at the time of release. At that time, there were so many bugs or glitches that made the overall experience problematic. I know that by now almost everything is fixed, and the game looks astonishing, graphically, and visually it's a stunning game. The developers did a great job making the sci-fi city livelier. Almost every corner is filled with lights and NPCs. I still remember I was mesmerized after seeing how good and shiny everything looks. Also, the storyline is pretty solid. Cyberpunk is one of those games that has everything in it. I believe that if any newcomer decides to play the game now, will surely have an amazing blast. Tell me about your favorite moments from the game. Mine is just to freely roam around in the entire city and exploring random stuff. In any case, the game is available on multiple platforms, and I recommend that you should try out this game if you haven't already. Alright, this concludes the list of 10 high-graphics single-player games that everyone needs to play. I know that I have missed some of the popular ones, but I have already talked about them in other videos. So, mentioning them again and again kind of becomes repetitive. We all know that games like Witcher 3, Metro Exodus, Hitman 3, and many more. They all have tremendous visuals and graphics. Anyways, if you like what you have seen, then please subscribe as I am close to reaching 7,000 subscribers. So, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you in the next video.